Welcome, everyone, to the You Are Worthy Network. I'm your host, Steve Wormer. Happy Friday to you. Hope you've had an encouraging and productive week. I am super excited to bring you our special guest today. Before I introduce you to her, I just want to say, many of you know me as Pastor Steve, and understandably so. I've been doing that for 16 years. Many of you know me as podcast host Steve. I understand that too. I've been doing that for a year and love both of those roles without a doubt. They've been blessings. But you might not have likely known that I'm also a keynote speaker. And you may not have known that I'm also a mindset coach focused on helping people get unstuck. Those things deep in their heart that are holding them back from pursuing the dreams that they've tabled for way too long. I want to come alongside and help you gain a little momentum, ignite those dreams again, and walk with you through the bridge of a momentum so that you can see some of those dreams start to happen in your life. And I love doing that. One of the many ways I do that, besides coaching, is my friend Christy Days and I, we have a program called Worthy of the Next Step. By the way, that is you. You are worthy of the next step. And we do this occasionally, and we have another master class this Monday, the 31st at 4 o'clock Central. It's only an hour, it's only $57. Check it out. We'd love to have you there. We got raving reviews after the first one. We'd love to see you Monday. I've got it all over the place. You can find it at stevewormer.com. I posted it on the You Are Worthy Network. I posted it on my page. You can sign up with the link or the QR code, all that good stuff. Okay, I'm done with that now. Let's get on with something I was going to say more important, but equally important. How about that? Um, Let me tell you about my new friend and sister in Christ, Janet. Janet Daughtry. Janet has spent nearly 2 decades helping people overcome limiting beliefs, gain clarity, and move forward with confidence. She is the co-founder of Life Breakthrough Coaching and Academy, which has trained and certified Christian coaches in more than 60 countries. Through her coaching, speaking, writing, and training, Janet helps people discover their God-given potential, challenge the beliefs that keep them stuck, and become who they were created to be. Janet is the author of Living a Great Life and the upcoming Living a Confident Life, discovering who God says you are. She believes that sometimes the biggest thing standing between where we are and where we want to be isn't a lack of ability, it's the story we've come to believe about ourselves. Her passion is helping people rewrite the stories that have limited them, rediscover what is possible, and take the next step toward a more confident and purposeful life. Janet holds a Master of Divinity degree and multiple certifications in life and marriage coaching. She lives in North London with her husband Daryl and enjoys spending time with her adult daughters and not two, not three, but four grandchildren. Janet, welcome to the Your Worthy Network.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me on. Really appreciate
You're
the opportunity.
you're very, very welcome. It's so tempting for me right now after reading your bio. And I sensed this when we first connected, and I sense it now just reading that again, how much alignment we have, what similar work we're doing. But I'm going to restrain myself for a little longer before
Mhm.
we dive in. Tell us, what part of North Carolina do you call home?
I'm actually in the Research Triangle in a little town called Cary, although not so little anymore. We're kind of on the outskirts of Raleigh and been here for quite a while, but Cary's home, and it's a great place to live. A lot of people are actually transferring to this area and find that North Carolina is a great state to live in. So, yeah, Cary, right outside of Raleigh in the Research Triangle.
Love North Carolina. One of the few states that within a few hours, depending on where you live, you can be at the oceans or the mountains.
Very much so. And speaking of the ocean, that's exactly where I'm going next week for a
Oh my
little
goodness.
getaway for about 3 nights. Really looking forward to that. So
Now in North Carolina, where do you like to go to the beach?
we are going to Ocean Isle, and that is about 30 miles north of Myrtle Beach. It's south of, Wilmington. Sort of, I'd say, cushion between Wilmington and Myrtle Beach. A great beach, kind of low key, not real commercial. Beautiful beach, and we really love it there.
Okay, that's a good tip. I've not heard of that one. I thought you might go the Kitty Hawk direction or even the once secret Topsail Beach, which is not so secret anymore. But you have a plethora of choices when it comes to North Carolina beautiful beaches, that's for sure.
You sure do. Yeah, it's hard to choose. I mean, we like them all, but Ocean Isle is probably our favorite for sure.
Yeah, and tell us about your tribe. So how long you been married to Daryl?
We have been married. How long have I been married to him? We've been married, I think, 32 years. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. And let's see, you said how many kids?
I have two adult daughters and four grandchildren. And yes, he had been married before, and I married late in life. And so when we got married, I inherited a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. And we soon after getting married, got a pet. So I got children, a pet, the whole 9 yards. Um, and it was great. And it's been great. We went through the teen years, which was kind of interesting. Um, and then they're adults now. They had children and started with the grandchildren day one. So, yeah, they're my kids, my grandkids. And it's been a interesting and great ride.
I'm sure it took a little bit of adjusting the busyness that it invoked, but to your point that you're saying now, you would have it no other way looking back, I'm sure.
100%. And the great thing is I didn't have to go through childbirth. So that's a bonus.
That's right. Love that perspective.
I really did not. I got two kids and a dog, and it was great. And so, we all sort of fell in love at the same time. And, kids, the first time I met them, I remember recalling, kids are like dogs. They know whether you're it or not, they pretty much sniff you out. And I remember the youngest, shortly after we met, she was sitting in my lap and she said, I feel like I've known you all my life. And so we all kind of, you know, fell in love and it all worked out. Doesn't always, but it worked out in our chapter. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, are the kids still close by?
yes, one of the daughters is about an hour away and the other one's an hour and a half. So they're not too far.
That's awesome. That's perfect.
Yes, it really is. So we get to see
Yeah.
them often. So it's good.
Yeah, that's great. So when you guys are all together, and I'm sure this has changed significantly with grandbabies involved, but when you're all together, what do y'all like to do for fun?
Well, we all do like the beach very much. I think that that's our sweet spot. I would say all of us. And there's nothing better than, renting a big house and having the whole family. We don't get to do that too often, but I would say that's a lot of fun for us. And then, my grandkids in particularly, they're outside kids. They like all that. So anything that we're doing outside, they're great with that. And that could be, going to Frankie's or whatever, or like an amusement park or something. Anything outside is always great.
How old are the grandkids?
They're old now. They're My oldest is 21, and I have an 18-year-old and two 16-year-olds. So
Okay. Okay. Definitely independent now, right?
yes, very much so. So they've got their own life and girlfriends and boyfriends, and driving and all that. So that changes the dynamics for sure. But we see them when we can.
Yeah, that's good. So you've kind of already answered one of my questions, I am confident, in our segment of this or that. What we're
Okay.
going to do right now is I'm going to give you a choice of two answers,
Okay.
and the goal is to not overthink it. Kind of the first one that you really hits you home when I give it to you. And in these series of questions that are going to be coming at you relatively fast, I'll let you use the answer both on just one.
Okay.
So, small town or big city?
Small town.
Read the book or watch the movie?
Watch the movie.
Books or podcast?
Podcast.
Isn't that interesting that 20 years ago that probably wouldn't have even been a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
How early, Janet?
6 a.m.
Okay. Here we go. Oceans or mountains?
Oceans.
Yep. That would be the one I would use my both on. I love them both. Uh, Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Cook or takeout?
Take out.
No
I'm not
hesitation
really
there.
big on cooking. Okay. Got a lot of attributes. That's not one of my strongest ones.
That's okay. That's okay. Cake or ice cream?
Cake.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Definitely chocolate.
hmm And the last one, well, do I want it to be my last one? Last one, drive or fly?
Drive.
Okay. Okay. That gives us a little insight into how Janet thinks and what her preferences are. Thank you for being a good sport with that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you back in time. And folks that watch regularly are like, "Oh, Steve, I know you're going to do it." Um, I love my oldest son just graduated high school back in May, and he graduated at 17. He'll be 18 in a couple of weeks. And I think the mindset is fascinating. I think back to when I was 18. He's much more mature than I was at 18 for sure. But kids, young adults that age are all over the place, and that's okay. We're not here to judge. We're just trying to learn a little bit about you. Here's the scenario. High school graduation is Friday night. It's Wednesday afternoon. You've already got your cap. You've already got your gown. Maybe you've got a class ring. I don't know. Um, what's the mindset? Are you on this end of the spectrum of, oh my gosh, this flew by. I'm gonna miss this place. I love the principals. I love the staff. I love the teachers. I have so many good friends here. I can't believe this is all coming to an end. I'm gonna really miss it. I guess I need to get a job. I guess I really need to get serious about what I'm gonna do. This is just like catching me off guard. And the other end of that spectrum, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, 48 hours? Can this go any slower? I've got the cap and the gown. I want that diploma in my hand. I've already got a job. I'm going to keep that this summer. I already know what I'm going to do in the fall. I know what I want to do with my life. You know, Senioritis on a 10 scale, I'm a 12. Get me out of here so I can start my life, or somewhere in between. Where are you?
I was probably a little in between. To tell you the truth, high school wasn't all that exciting for me. I was on the shy side, back in the day, and I'm sure it's still true. You had the people that were in the quote in crowd, and you had the people that weren't so much. I wasn't so much in the in crowd. And, I was quiet, and probably people would have thought I was a bookworm. I don't really know. High school wasn't all that thrilling for me. it got better in college. I was excited to graduate, though. I really did want to graduate, and I was looking forward to college, and that was exciting for me. I was going to go to Meredith in Raleigh. It was going to be the first time living away from home. And so I was probably like, okay, let's get on with it a little bit. And also our graduation was outside in the football field. And I was probably preoccupied. Was I going to be able to keep my hat on walking in the field, if you will? So I'm sure all that was going through my head. But I mean, there were some nice experiences for sure in high school, but I was really excited about the next chapter and looking forward to it. And kind of want you know, let's let's kind of move it on here, if you will.
You're ready to go, weren't you?
I was ready to go. Yeah, I really was.
And so at that stage, you have your eyes fixed on college. Did you know what you wanted to major in, or did that take a while?
I didn't have a clue what I wanted to major in. Just knew I wanted to go into college. And really, for me, that was a triumph because I'll tell you what, the first time I took the SAT, I didn't score really great. And so I was a bit nervous. I took the test again and did much better. So when I got the acceptance, I was thrilled. I didn't have a clue, though, going in what I wanted to major in. I really didn't. Just knew I wanted to go to college for sure. Um, in fact, I had a lot of people that said you ought to do music because I played an instrument. I enjoyed music. And they said, yeah, that's really what you wanted to do. And I started out in music to realize, no, that is not what I want to do because I hated music theory, which was very mathematical, and I'm not so much. So it took me a bit to kind of figure some things out, but no, I did not have this uh, idea about what I was heading towards exactly, other than I knew I wanted a college education.
What was your instrument of choice at that time?
Piano. I played the
Oh,
piano.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And really didn't want to spend 16 hours a week practicing music I wasn't interested in. So it didn't take me long to figure out, no, it's not music. It's definitely not music. Um, so
So did you land on a divinity degree then, or did that come later?
no, that came later. Actually, I would say in about my junior year of college, I felt a pull towards ministry. I really felt kind of sensed a call, if you will, to ministry. And it wasn't till after college that I pursued seminary. And that's when I went. Yeah, I actually, right after college, I went in the fall to seminary and went another distance from home. I went to Kentucky, which was quite a distance from my home in Virginia. I lived in Richmond, Virginia at the time. And so, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that we both were from Richmond. That's interesting. Um, so what did you get your undergrad in?
Well, I had a double major, business econ and American Civ.
Okay.
And I was thinking practicality. I was thinking, well, if I have a degree in business, I can always do something. I think once again, I didn't really have total clarity about what I wanted to pursue in college until towards the end. And towards the end, I felt this pull towards ministry. And when I got into seminary, I was like, yes, I actually loved every part of it. I got involved with the Masters of Divinity program, and back then I was one of very few women pursuing that. But I found out, that, finally it's like, oh, this is such a great fit for who I am. And so it finally started to gel with me. Yeah, this is a good thing right here.
Oh, that's beautiful. Did you grow up in a religious household?
I grew up in a Southern Baptist household, and we went to church every Sunday. Went to church every Sunday, um, Sunday school, the whole route. I was in the youth choir, was in GAs, all of it. I mean, yeah, kind of grew up in the church. Um, but I don't really think I knew so much about really having a personal relationship with the Lord, even though I grew up in the church. Really interesting. And that didn't come till later, uh, with this kind of pursuing of a call to ministry and all of that. But yeah, so to answer your question, I grew up in the church. Yes.
It's it's always interesting how often that is communicated with kids that grow up with a religious background. You know, that comment that I didn't have the relationship till later. And I'm not saying this is the case with you, but so often it's going through the motions or it's on the calendar, but there's not the intimacy, the
No.
relationship like you described. It's interesting
Right.
for sure.
Right. Yeah, that didn't really come until later. Um, and here's the thing that's really interesting about that. When I was a junior in college, that was just about the time the Jesus movement was really happening. And so there was all these young people on my college campus in NC State in Raleigh. There was almost like a revival that was happening with the young people, and I got kind of swept up in that whole thing. And so that was sort of a defining point for me, a turning point for me of really understanding that God wasn't so much interested in religion as he was interested in a relationship with me, and really understanding it from that perspective. So yeah.
Yeah. And so you did ministry for a while. Feel free to fill in any gaps that I have.
Yeah, sure.
I definitely want to get to what you're doing now. I definitely want to get into
Sure.
what, um, how did you get in the confidence arena? Why did that become such a point of emphasis? But feel free to take us back a step or two if needed.
Yes, well, I did do the ministry thing, and here's what's really interesting. When I finished seminary, I ended up going back to the church that I grew up in, and I was offered a pastoral internship role there, to get some experience, get my feet wet in ministry and all that. And during that time, the pastor left. The pastor left the church. The minister of music left the church, and they left me as a pastoral intern with a 1,200 member congregation, which I am now the interim pastor of. I'm right out of seminary, literally with no experience. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I've now got to do Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday evening services, funerals, weddings. I am just like, okay, I'm it. So I did that for 14 months. I was written up in the newspaper. I was in the spotlight. I would go to pastors' meetings. They're like, what are you doing here? I mean, it was really an interesting time in my life. It was like baptism in fire by fire. I grew a lot very fast, but at the same time, I burned out in 14 months,
I
literally.
bet.
And I was taking a class, a pastoral care class, and I led mission trips. I did all kinds of things. And in the pastoral care class, they told me, you are in severe burnout and you really need to do anything. Sell shoes, we don't really care. You just need to like leave the ministry. Well, the most interesting thing, that intersection happened about the same time that the people in the church said, we want you to pastor this church. We want you to be the pastor. So I said, thank you, but uh, appreciate the validation, but um, no, thank you. And that set up a chain of events that were very stressful, because in many ways my identity had gotten wrapped up in that. I was in the spotlight. There was a lot of notoriety around that, and nobody understood this move I'm making. And my parents didn't understand it because this is their church. It's a church I grew up in. And it was devastating to them. They really didn't get it. And then
Mm,
I was grappling and wrestling with some things myself, trying to figure out some things. And I just knew I needed to leave, but I didn't know what I needed to leave to exactly. And I started visiting other churches, and they thought, if you lost your mind, I mean, they really did not understand. And it got so stressful that I decided, okay, I don't know that I can rebuild here because it's just too weird. And it's weird for my family. And so I decided to leave just so it wouldn't be awkward for them anymore. And so I left and I moved back to Raleigh. I had some friends there, and of course, I'd gone to Merida. So I'm camping in a friend's house. I've got no place to live, I've got no job. And I ended up working with a temporary service, doing clerical work. And I had an identity crisis. I went from burnt out to an identity crisis. I'm on stage to now I'm doing secretarial work. And I don't know who I am. I'm just really wrestling with a lot of things, and in many ways, I'm feeling some rejection and just a lot of things, and I'm
mm,
feeling anger at God,
mm. Uh,
and it's because I'm having to build my life from scratch. And at one point, I went to Walmart and got a red plastic bat, and I beat the heck out of my bed and articulating my anger and my frustration with life, but also at God. And I'm really not understanding because I felt called to ministry. All these things happen. I get in severe burnout. I don't even know what I'm doing necessarily. And so I'm just like exploding, letting out all of this anger and frustration and really letting God have it in a lot of ways. And I had the most amazing experience, Steve. After venting all that stuff, it's almost like I felt the tangible presence of God come in the room. And it was like the Lord spoke to my heart and said, I love you. You know, he didn't answer any questions that I had, but he let me know he was in the boat with me, that he was in the storm with me,
mhm,
and that he really, really loved me. And it was profound. It was a real change for me. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen totally next, but I knew God was with me and I knew he had me and he was going to walk me through it. So I went through this point where I had to rebuild my life again, but I look back over all of that and I say, wow, maybe that was a gift to me that I got repositioned somewhere else because as a result, I met my wonderful husband. He and I got involved with coaching. We discovered coaching and we discovered it was a great fit for us because in many ways we've been doing it most of our life, just didn't know what to call it. We pursued training, and then I got involved in coaching, and then we started the academy because we saw some gaps in the coaching industry. And I can look back over all of that and see that God made beauty out of ashes. What at the time that I thought was total devastation, God said, no, I'm just going to recalculate you and reroute you. I'm just going to help you write a new chapter. And so that's really my heartbeat with people. I know, you know, I've heard some horrific stories through the years. I mean, terrible stories of things
mhm.
that have happened to people that weren't fair, that were everything else. But I just am a firm believer. Look, if you'll just grab hold of the grace of God, there's more for you. There's a new chapter. And just because you're in a terrible story and you want to rip the chapter out of the book doesn't mean it's the end of the story. It means that there's still, if you're living, moving, and breathing, there's still new chapters to write. Just because it happened to you doesn't mean you have to stay there. That's not where you have to stay. That's a long answer to your question. Sorry.
No, 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 no. What you just said there, the last 45 seconds, you'll laugh when we come to the end of our time together today, because that's almost verbatim what I say at the end of every show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I am interested, like, so were you married with Daryl when the church position came to an end?
No.
Okay, so there's
And
there's some
I
time.
wasn't, no, yeah, I was not married then. And I wasn't married in my red bat moment. I wasn't
That
married.
was going to be my next question.
No, no,
Did Daryl receive some of the red
no,
bat?
no, no. He did not.
I'm just kidding with you. Okay, so when you do get married to Daryl, he has a coaching background?
No, he did not.
No.
He had a
So
publishing background.
okay, so y'all decide to go into the coaching arena together.
Yes. And actually, to tell you the truth, he discovered it first. Um, and I don't even know where he was. He was somewhere and he somehow saw a book on coaching and started reading it. And he was actually the one that discovered it first and said, yeah, this is really, you know, this is who we are. Now, interestingly enough, he also had a background in ministry and but he also had a publishing background as well. He'd done a lot. And he's an excellent teacher. So yeah, when he discovered the coaching, he said, yeah, this is really this is kind of what we do. Um, and quite frankly, I was dragging my feet. Like,
Mm,
I don't really know. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, and I'll let's go along. But the interesting thing is, I was the one that actually first launched my coaching business, and then he came on board with his, and then we did the training. So even though I was dragging my feet at first, the training was really good. Um, and now I can see that it's really perfect for who we are in so many ways.
what year was that when you
Wow.
launched?
I think it was back around 2008. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
So tell me this, and I know you've got a lot of certifications, you can help people in a variety of ways.
Right.
If you have your choice, and you do, um, the perfect day for you professionally is helping the person that needs help specifically where?
Well, what really excites me or ignites me, or however you want to express it,
We'll get you out of bed.
is
Yeah.
yeah, is if I have a client and the lights go on with them, okay, and they can see possibilities they were not seeing before, or step into believing in themselves where they weren't before, um, then I'm saying, yeah, this is really good because now I'm part of their journey. So whatever they accomplish, I had a small part of it because I helped them maybe see some things they weren't seeing or having some ahas or believing in themselves again. And that's really a beautiful experience to help somebody um, feel like they're heard and seen and loved and all that. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
So let's do this. This will be a little bit challenging, but I think you'll see the benefit of it as we go.
Okay.
Let's take a sampling of your clientele over the years, and they come to you, and I'm going to give you one word. I'll explain how we're going to do this in a second. But let's say they come to you hopeless.
Hmm.
Other than hopeless, name three words, just three words. That's the challenging part, to narrow it down to that, to describe what that sampling of clients feels as they start to work with you. They haven't worked with you yet. So, what are they feeling in three words?
Stuck, um, confused, Um, lack of, well, that's more than one word. Um, no, I've got to say two words. They're lacking clarity. I mean, it's like it's not clear. How can I say that in one word?
Lacking clarity. Well, I think it might still be under confused, right?
Yeah, confused and stuck. Um, fearful too.
There
Fearful.
you go. There you go. Okay. So stuck, confused, and fearful. And they work with you, and I'm sure you have different programs, different lengths of time, but they're on the other side of working with you. And I'm doing this for a specific reason, by the way. What are they now experiencing? How would you describe them in just three words on the other side?
Encouraged, hopeful, decisive.
Mm, okay. So, because I know you're going to deflect to God as well, you should, because He does the heavy lifting. I always say, with anything significant, it's God doing the heavy lifting, especially when it comes to matters of the heart and when it comes to transformation. No doubt about it. However, he does need a willing, available vessel, and that's you. And that's why I want to showcase this. So, working with Janet, clients go from feeling stuck to encouraged, from being confused to decisive, from fearful to hopeful. That, my friends, is God at work, and Janet has been given a skill set from God to help, and she gets to be on the front row, and that front row contains holy ground. She gets to stand on and watch this transformation with her very eyes. What a privilege, right?
It's an awesome privilege. I don't take it for granted. It's an awesome privilege. And sometimes I will come away, even from the training that I do and the amazing people that I get to intersect and meet. And I think to myself, how did I get so lucky? How did I get so blessed? And I'm humbled. I'm actually humbled that I get to work with the incredible people, gifted and talented people that have amazing stories. And I get to partner with them. I get to work with them. And I think, how lucky am I? How blessed am I that I get to experience this? I'm grateful and humbled at the same time. It's quite amazing.
And that's why God continues to bless you, because he blesses humility. We read that throughout the scriptures for sure. He opposes the proud but blesses the humble. Tell us about the book that you have written and about the one that's coming.
Well, it's interesting. The first one I did, I thought, you're a life coach, you need a book. And I really struggled with that whole thing. And I mean, I really enjoy speaking, but it's like writing. And so I said, okay, I'm going to make this easy. It's what I do for my clients. How can we make this easy? How can we make this baby steps? How can we just get you to move? So I thought the easiest way that I can do that is to take my blog articles, I had tons of them, and see what I can do with that. So I looked at all my blog articles and I kind of assembled them in a way. And I thought, hey, this could be life lessons from a life coach, living a great life. And that's what I did to roll out that first one. Then the second one, is going to be a little bit more substantial than that one. And this is about living a confident life. And it's more about really getting into your story and understanding who God says you are. Because the truth of the matter is, we go through life and we look in all these mirrors. But are we looking in God's
Mm,
mirror?
mm.
You know, our favorite, I've always been a beach gal. And even when I was growing up, my parents, my family, we went to Myrtle Beach. Drove all the way from Virginia to Myrtle Beach. I don't know why we did that, but we did that. Um, and so back in the day in downtown Myrtle Beach, they had a pavilion with all these goofy mirrors that you could look in. And they'd make you short or really tall or really large or skinny. You know, we used to stand in front of those mirrors and laugh and laugh. And I thought, well, how often we go through life looking through distorted mirrors?
Oh,
We're looking at the mirrors of people's opinion. We're looking in the mirrors of what society says, or we're looking in all kinds of crazy mirrors. Well, what about God's mirror? I mean, when are we looking into that? So if we want to have real confidence, we got to get the story right. So that's where I'm kind of coming from there in that book a bit.
I love that. I love that. And there must be something my sister, and it's a long story that we don't have time for, but her and her side of the family, they go to Myrtle Beach from Richmond twice a year. It must be
Oh,
something
wow.
about Richmond folks that love Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach.
They're not
Yes,
going to Virginia Beach.
that's right. That's exactly right. It's a great
No,
place.
no, I really appreciate what you're saying about the mirror. I was with a client yesterday, and in their onboarding answers, there was a lot of, and this person has been a devoted follower of Christ for a number of years, but the demonstrative, I will never, I always, and I really wanted to hear him to hear me read those back to him. Like, this is
Hmm.
what you're saying. And I think a little to your point earlier, a little bit of the light bulb came on, and I gave him some mirror exercises as homework in between. So I really appreciate you saying that. Where can folks find the first book, and when does the second book come out?
Well, the first one is available on Amazon, Living a Great Life by Janet Daughtry. If you type that in, you'll see it. And then the second one, I'm hoping will come out by the end of the year.
Okay, well, that'll be here sooner than you think. That's
Hmm.
3 months away. We're in September
Yeah,
on what, Tuesday?
yes, yes.
Janet, I would love if you're willing to take that Amazon link to your book when we're done today, and feel free to drop it in the comment section of the interview.
I would love to do that.
I could do it, but I think it comes better coming from you, actually.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Do you want me to
And
do that now or just
no,
after the
no,
interview?
no, this
Okay,
this way. I've got to edit a couple of things when we're done, so
okay,
you
all
you
right.
you can wait. You can wait a few minutes after we're done, but tell folks where they can find you on social media and learn more about the great work you're doing and about the academy.
If you just do Coach Janet, regardless of the platform, you'll find me, Coach Janet. Um, I would think LinkedIn is the only exception. It's Janet Daughtry. But otherwise, Coach Janet on Facebook and on Instagram. And CoachJanet.com is my website. And then the academy is lifebreakthroughcoaching.com.
And Janet's given me all those links, and we will include those in the show notes when we're finished here shortly. Um, Janet, what would you say today, August, is it 27th? I think it's the 27th. What would Janet in August 27th, 2026 say to young Janet that left the church, was having an identity crisis, that went out and bought a red plastic bat and used it? What would you say to that young lady today?
I would probably say you have no idea. It's going to be okay, baby girl. It's going to be okay. Yeah, it's going to be okay.
And in that same train of thought, what would you say to the person watching today or may pick up on this interview somewhere on Facebook or YouTube in the next few weeks that feels stuck? Confidence is the last thing they have. They are good people. They are committed to their family. They're committed to providing. They're committed to doing the things they need to do to keep the household going. But in here, they feel lonely. They feel stuck. They feel going through the motions. And that flicker, that flame is just an ember. What would you say to them to give them some encouragement today?
Well, I would say a couple of things. One is whatever chapter you find yourself in, and sometimes we find ourselves in chapters we didn't design. We find ourselves in circumstances we had no control over. Um, I would just say, there's an expression that says, you know, it may be raining now, but eventually the sun's going to come out, and whatever chapter you're in, it's not the end of the story. It really isn't. It's not the end of the story. And I would say also the thing that really um, got me through life and continues to get me through life is faith. Um, and that is that God loves us and He's for us. He's not against us, He's for us. And even when we don't understand what He's doing, um, we just need to trust He's still there for us. He's still there. And we can count on that He has a future and a hope for us. That's a promise that He has for us. Even though we don't see it, He still has it. Um, and that's so important to grab hold of it. And also, whatever your past has been, um, it doesn't have to define you. It really doesn't. That's a decision we have to make. We have to forgive ourselves as well as others. And
Yeah.
our past does not have to have the final say. It really doesn't. Um, I would say that's about it.
So much good in there. Our past has a voice, but it does not get a vote on our present and future decisions. And I'd be remiss not to put out there my favorite Dolly Parton quote.
Hmm.
You cannot have, oh my gosh, I'm going to blow it. You cannot have, you can't have a rainbow without the storms. And I want to thank you, Janet, for being vulnerable. I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom and some of your significant experiences with us today. It's been my honor to get to know you and for you to share with our network today. I want to thank you for coming on here and being so real with us.
Well, I want to thank you for reaching out. I know we talked about when we initially met that we're sort of the same cloth or um, like-minded in so many ways. So I'm so glad you reached out, Steve, and it's really been a blessing to be on this interview with you. It really is.
But you've been incredible. I want to take a second and remind all of you watching, and Janet's already set me up for this, that your story's not over yet. Whatever you're going through right now, and I say this, you guys know me, I say this, hopefully you know this by now. I say this with a lot of compassion. We don't take lightly the storms that we go through. They're hard. Wilderness seasons are hard. Pit seasons are not fun. I've been
Hmm.
through many pit seasons in my life. I'm in some ways I'm in one right now, just to be vulnerable with you guys.
Hmm.
However, it's a chapter in our stories. It's not the final chapter. Some of your best chapters are still coming. Hold on to that.
Mm-hmm.
When Janet went through that tough time after her ministry experience, overwhelming. She didn't even have time to go into all of it. I'm sure there was days she questioned everything,
Mm-hmm.
including her faith, including her identity, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But she kept going, and her story wasn't over yet. Yours isn't either. You're worthy of love, respect, and success, not on your own merit. No, that's not the case. I agree with Paul on that. However, the blood of Jesus changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're worthy, because he died and was raised on the third day. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate each one of you. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, God bless. Have a great weekend.